probably one of the most important exercises that we use, and absolutely it is the one that we start with first, is bracing. And I get a lot of questions about how to brace, what's the best way to do it. I'm having a hard time breathing while I'm bracing. Should I breathe when I brace? When should I brace? And it is a fundamental exercise, and it's something that you have to do throughout the day for a couple of reasons. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why, and then we're going to talk about how to do it where you're breathing and getting the breath, and then we'll talk a little bit about when, because there are certain times of the day I think it's really important. And again, there's 3 different reasons that we do the bracing. So as we know, in this particular case, there's a herniated disc right here. It doesn't matter if it's bulging, if it's herniated, if it's arthritic, if it's degenerated. There is a fair amount of motion that happens in every vertebrae, and certainly when it's injured or it's causing you pain, there's a breakdown. So what we're trying to do is prevent the motion. So the whole idea behind the bracing, and bracing is activating all the muscles of the core. It's not strengthening the core, it's activating the core. So it's all the muscles that support the spine. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to prevent the motion. Too much bending, all the motion that takes place on top of the disc is what aggravates it. So we're trying to activate it to prevent that motion. And so there's three things that we want to do. The whole idea behind the bracing is, if you're picking up something, or you're twisting, or you're at a sink and you're brushing your teeth, or you're going to open a door, you want to activate your core, okay? And that comes through the bracing. I'll show you how that is. I'll show you what it looks like. But number 1 is we want to avoid that motion. Number 2 is vertebrae. So it's not just the bending, but vertebrae can move front to back, side to side, in conjunction with the rotation. So the bracing sort of holds that in place. It's not just preventing the bending, it's really preventing any motion in all those directions. So that's a very important reason to brace. If your disc is degenerated or bulging, there's going to be a little bit of motion. So we're trying to avoid that. And the third thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to build up neural drive. And I don't know if we've done enough videos about neural drive, so I'll start doing some starting tomorrow. We did one already, but I want to make sure everybody's really clear about it, because for some people that's the most important variable that maybe we're not getting. And the whole idea here is we want to give you control. And the way you have control is by knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it. So those are the 3 reasons behind bracing. So with bracing, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get all these muscles here to contract. And depending on where the muscles are, meaning are they deep inside there, then what we do is we put our fingers on there, okay? And as I contract now, okay, it's loose, but as I contract, I sort of bear down a little bit, like a bear down like that, okay? And I always tell people, it's like, oh, they're going to be punched. Oh, I'm going to punch you like this, okay? So if you're aware that somebody's going to punch you, you kind of get those muscles, you tighten them up a little bit, okay? So there's a tightening of all these muscles like this, okay? So in some cases, the rib cage is up a little bit, and then it's going to come down as you tighten. So we tighten that. And I also say, put your fingers in there and then push your fingers out. Okay? That's how you know it's activated. And once it's activated, to train yourself to breathe, you want to breathe deliberately, meaning you want to make a bigger deal about it as you train it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure my core is all activated by bracing. Okay, so I'm bracing right now. I'm holding my spine together. I'm not bracing too hard, but I'm bracing. And as I'm bracing, I'm just going to breathe. Just like that. That's the brace. So I'm bracing. And we've talked about the breathing, so your abdomen should go out a little bit. You know, we're not going to stick the stomach way out like that because we're bracing. There is a time to stick it way out, but not necessarily at the same time, but it's going to come out a little bit. So I've got it in there and almost like breathe, force it in. Like that. Okay, because you have to train yourself. You have to train yourself to brace, and by bracing, you have to train yourself to breathe. So that's how it works. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. It's especially not easy because a lot of times when you have back pain, you're not a bracer. Okay, they have found that when you have back pain, you just don't have the ability to brace. People that don't have back pain, they brace naturally. It's neurologically, it's turned off, which brings us back to neural drive. There's a lot of different reasons that the nerves will start to shut down. They don't turn on as powerful as they can be. And one of the analogies I use, and I don't have one here, I should get one, is a rheostat. Like it's the knob that you have for your dining room that turns your lights up and down. Not on and off. It's brighter and dimmer, the dimming switch, okay? So with a dimming switch, as you turn it down, there's less electricity getting to the light bulb, so it's not as bright. Same thing happens to the nerves. It's called neural drive. How much drive is coming out of that nerve? And when it's not enough, then the muscles don't do what they need to do. So part of what we have to do is activate those nerves. Now here's the key. The longer you've had back pain, the less those nerves are turning on. Your switch is turned way down. It's called altered reciprocal inhibition. When muscles go out of balance. Out of balance muscles cause an imbalanced load on the disc. We need to balance the load on the disc. That's the goal. Okay? So bracing balances the load, prevents the motion of the vertebrae, prevents the bending of the spine. This is what we want. It's the fundamental exercise. It's probably the most important one you have to learn first. You don't have to master it first, but you have to start to learn it. Okay? And one of the things I say about neural drive is when you're laying in your bed in the morning, you want to contract these muscles, maybe do it 10 times. It's like an exercise before you get out of bed. Why? Because it starts to create bracing in the nervous system. Gives you a sort of a stiffness, not like my back is stiff, but it creates that core activity to prevent all that motion, and it wakes up the nerves. Neural drive, neural drive, neural drive. That's the goal of bracing. Is it the most important one? It's the most important first one. That and the other exercise we've talked about in the beginning, but bracing for the spine is the foundation for everything else. Everybody wants to go to the other exercises fast. Let me get to the other one quickly. Learn the bracing, okay? Learn to breathe. Learn to breathe while you're bracing. Put the fingers on there. Make sure those muscles are turning on. Are they turning on? Sometimes they've been turned on in 10 years, 20 years. You got to turn them on, turn them on. How do you turn them on? Muscles go in, push them out, just like that. That's how you turn them on. That's it. That's bracing. That's breathing. Fundamental number one for fixing your back pain. Start here. If you're interested in learning more about how to eliminate your back pain, we have a program for you. You can do at home in the comfort of your own home. It's called 10X. It's the 10X program to solving back pain. Every week you get new exercises. Start with bracing. This program works. I promise you it works better than anything else on the internet. Why? Because it's all about the fundamentals. We teach you how to do it. When you know how to do it, your life gets better. 10X. I'll put a link right here or somewhere up here. There'll be cards over here. There'll be like a little logo here. Click on that to get the program. That's how you get better. Live your life.